Hey, hi. This is Lokesh from Soul Freedom Show, and we have a very special guest today, Brad Johnson from New Earth Teachings. And I've been a very huge fan of his. I've taken some of his sessions, and welcome everyone. And welcome, Brad. It's such an honor to have you on our show. And I was going to read out your intro, but I will, just give you a chance to just give us a little bit of an intro about
Oh, the
yourself.
intro might be better actually. That way I'm not spending so much time doing my own introduction.
Yeah.
So maybe yeah, if you want to read it out, that's fine.
Uh, Actually, I would love to hear because I know these things are changing so fast. You're doing a lot of new things. Why don't you just give us just like a couple of minutes of your intro?
Okay, well, what I'll do is because sometimes when I do my intro, it gets a little long-winded. So what I'll do is I'll basically just pull up my short bio here on my website,
Okay.
and you guys can check it out. Because if I do, it's like I'm 5-10 minutes and I'm talking about myself. Uh, so I'll say, hi everybody. My name is Brad Johnson. I am a spiritual teacher, psychic, intuitive healer. Um, I work with many different channeler as well too. I work with many different modalities within the spirit circles, within the spiritual field. Um, I guess you could say I'm a spirit ambassador, one who works directly with spirit source and can command any sincere intention to affect themselves, others, and their environment. From psychic ability, channeling, healing, spiritual teaching, dream interpretation, the Akashic Records, inner self disciplines, and more, I have spent the last 10 years developing inner abilities to understand how reality interacts. It's actually 11 years now, but I got to update that. Interacts with us on a personal and collective level. I share higher mind knowledge and spirit ambassador abilities to educate and bring healing to others from over the world, reflecting on your own empowering spiritual journey. I have discovered how to inform intuitive relationship with reflections of reality to attract outcomes that serve self-governing, mental clarity, and emotional balance. I hold a natural conscious ability to connect directly with spirit right at the top of creation. Through this connection, I can command spirit requests into physical reality and share knowledge with the intention to assist others as they learn how to become spirit ambassadors and work directly with spirit and source energy. So that's just kind of the rundown of the short.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's
basically, I'm
good.
a guy who does a lot of spiritual work. It's
Yeah,
the
I
best way I
know.
can sum it up.
Actually, yesterday you posted the video where you were doing some kind of a Japanese meditation where you were kind of raising your temperature, but just
Oh, it
by
wasn't
breathing.
Japanese. Yeah, it's not Japanese. It's called the Tumo technique.
Tumo,
Yeah,
what
I
is
did
it?
that. I did that back in 2017. It was with Vice TV. So you guys,
Uh-huh.
some of you guys are pretty familiar with Vice.
Yeah.
They called me up. It was back around April of 2017. They said, "Hey, Brad, we're really excited because we saw your video about you talking about the Tumo technique. We're looking for somebody who can like physically, tangibly demonstrate a spiritual ability.
Right.
Saw your video. We were really excited about it. We were wondering if you wanted to come to Toronto, Canada, and being able to demonstrate this. And what we're thinking of doing is we're thinking of locking you inside a freezer truck for half an hour and seeing how well you can withstand the cold because we're going to
Right.
hold the cold in the freezer truck. It's going to be really, really cold. And we just want to see how well you do with the
Right.
Tumo." I said, "Sure, sounds like fun. I'll do it." So I went to Toronto. I got to stay in a hotel. It was about a 3-day shoot altogether. So the first
Uh,
day was just arrival. Second day was the actual shoot itself. So the third day was just getting everything packed up and ready to go back home. So
uh-huh.
yeah, I went into their kind of little studio that they had. So they
Uh-huh.
had this freezer truck. I went inside the freezer truck. I basically just had like a tank top, black shorts, and sandals.
Yeah.
And so I basically just did kind of like my preparation exercise, which is just a lot of deep breathing. Some of it's rapid fire breathing as well too. Some of it is visualization, and a lot of it is just holding your breath and
Yeah.
basically getting your adrenaline pumping. It's very similar to like Wim Hof, what Wim Hof teaches
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
do.
Right.
I don't do his method. I have my own method in
All
that,
right.
but it is very, very similar. So I went in there and I went in the freezer truck, and I was just kind of smiling most of the time. They couldn't believe. It's like, my God, they're in these big winter coats and
Yeah.
gloves on, and they're filming everything, and I'm just here just smiling away and just, oh, this is nice, this is nice. I'm like, oh my God, he's so calm, and like, how is he doing this?
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, well, Brad, we got half an hour of footage. Did you want to do a little bit longer? So yeah, I'll do an extra 5 minutes for you guys. Okay, great, great. So they're all
Yeah.
happy. So I spent 35 minutes in there when I was supposed to be 30. I
Right.
probably even could have done an hour, but they said, no, no, just 35 is just fine. We can do that. So I spent 35 minutes, and then they had this scientist guy in this Boba Fett like mask and all that, and
Yeah. Like a
basically
robot.
interview. It was very awkward.
Yeah.
I found it was easier to embrace the cold than try to talk to this guy. So basically, I'm trying to look at this eye line and stuff like that, but he has like this Boba Fett like mask on. Like, you survived the cold. What did you do? And I'm just trying to logically explain what I did
Right.
about, it's breathing technique, it's visualization,
Yeah.
it's being able to hold your breath for a certain amount of time, it's getting your adrenaline pumping. It's
Right.
basically just keeping your entire body warm through that stimulation. You feel like
Right.
your skin is red hot, you feel like you're getting steam coming out of your body, and you're just maintaining that. And that's all I did. And so I
Yeah.
was able to maintain about a 16 to 17 degree body temperature for that 35 minutes. They had another guy that came in the van beforehand, and he was almost freezing to death. They had to get him out after like 5 or 6 minutes. So he was like getting like 2 or 3 degrees
Mm.
on his body temperature. So he was very close to frostbite. So they had to pull him out of the van.
Right.
And, I was almost making mistakes. I was almost telling him what to do before to go into the van. And say, no, shut up, shut up, shut up. We're not supposed to do that. He's not supposed to know anything about your technique. Oh, okay, all right, sorry.
Um,
I'm just a compassionate guy. I want to help him out so he doesn't freeze to death. But I wasn't able to share anything with him. So he just went in there. He just thought he would try and follow the breath, but he didn't know
yeah.
what he. So
So
yeah, this is a very, very real
yeah.
technique. It goes back into Tibet, right? It's a Tibetan
All
practice.
right. Yeah.
So that this is all about what's known as the inner fire
All right.
meditation. So I was able to demonstrate it because I never went to Tibet. I've never gone into a monastery. I looked into this online and I started doing the practice myself. I added some of my own key elements to it as well too,
Yeah.
and to demonstrate, this is really, really powerful of what we're capable of doing with a disciplined mind. So that's what I did back in 2017. I was
Wow.
finally able to get it online. So.
Yeah, it was great. It's very inspiring. So why don't you tell people, especially who people are just diving in, like who don't know much about you, like what's your background? As in, like, did you take some training, or how did you get into like this
No, it's
path?
all been spirit, guys. I have not had an official teacher. I've never
Uh-huh.
had a human teacher to teach me any of these things whatsoever. There's times where I'll meet some people
Yeah.
and I'll synchronistically align to certain things. Maybe I'll watch something on YouTube that talks about what I've talked about and shares similar things to what I've shared. I've looked at some other experts as well too here and there,
Yeah.
and again they talk about certain things that I'm getting as well too. But no, from the very get-go, this started in 2008 for me. And I
Uh-huh.
wanted to just write a novel. That's really where this all started. I
Hmm.
wanted to write a novel about the extraterrestrial presence, about what
Hmm.
ETs were really about. And
Yeah.
so I started researching. I started looking into psychics, into intuitives. I started looking into Black Ops community personnel as well too. And they were all agreeing that through meditation you can connect with these incredible beings, and they're very, very loving. They believe in a one infinite creator as well too. And
Yeah.
it's all about them coming together. And a lot of them are future versions of ourselves coming back into our past,
Right.
helping us to evolve. And I never had ever thought of ETs like that. And
Okay.
so that was really inspiring to me. So I really
Uh,
wanted to get into meditation because my goal to get into meditation was see if I could talk to these ETs. But
mm-hmm.
then I started falling in love with meditation. So I fell in love with meditation so much, and I got into energy healing after that. I got into channeling after that.
Yeah.
So I started getting into connecting with the being that I channel quite often, if you guys are familiar, known as Adronis, right?
Yeah.
So that's his name, Adronis.
Yeah.
And he would represent a Sirian consciousness existing within the star of Sirius A.
Right.
So I connected with him in December of 2009. So I met a
Uh,
couple other channelers online. They didn't really quote unquote teach me certain things. They were just kind of showing me what they were doing. And I was kind of
yeah.
looking at it from like a journalist perspective. And then after that, I started kind of mixing together what other people were doing. I molded into my own things. I don't really take a person's technique directly. I always kind of
Okay.
look into different things and I kind of merge them together with some of my own essence.
Okay.
And then I start going into channeling. So I
So
did what's known
yeah.
as channeled writing or automatic writing.
Right.
Started with that first. And then it
Uh,
was around 2009. No, sorry. Yeah, sorry. It was December of 2008 that I connected with Adronis. And then early 2009, close to the springtime,
yeah.
I started getting involved with vocal channeling. So I started doing vocal channeling. It was actually quite an easy transition because
Uh,
they're basically one and the same. Just one thing is that you're writing what you're receiving. Second
right.
thing is you're vocalizing what you're
Yeah.
receiving. So it's a bit of a simple transition. It didn't take me too long to get into vocal channeling. Adronis came through. Our
Uh-huh.
personality started to build a lot more with him and me over time.
Right.
And so through the past 11 years, I've been helping thousands of people over the world with channeling sessions, with private sessions, with groups, with going to events. I've traveled all over the world as well too, to
Right.
do some work with people as well.
Yeah.
So I've worked with tens of thousands of people over these past 11 years. So I've
Uh,
really heard it all pertaining to what people are going through.
yeah.
And that's helped me to move myself into more of a greater transformation to help people on deeper levels because of all that experience.
Okay, great. Yeah. So looks like so you had that kind of training, you didn't like kind of go through a formal training, but I
No.
want to know, like, when you were growing up, like, were there any signs of where you thought that, I'm getting some information, or was it
No,
just
and when I was little, I never believed in any of this stuff at all,
okay?
because I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, right? That's where I was.
Ah,
I came into that since birth,
right,
and that is always frowned upon from a JW's perspective. So, oh, you're looking
right.
into demonism, you're looking into Satan, you're looking into all this stuff that's
Yeah.
horrifying. So I was never into the idea of the psychic phenomena. In all honesty, I thought it was kind of interesting, but
Yeah.
I was being so compelled by the religious upbringing that I
Right.
wasn't being involved with that. Not until about after my teenage years, because I left the religion behind when I was a teenager. I said, I
Okay.
want nothing to do with this anymore. It's so stupid. I never liked it from the get go. All it's doing is just putting
Okay.
all these religious belief systems in me. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. I
Yeah.
still think the JWs are like that up to this day. Nothing against the people, but just the
Right.
aspect of the religion
Yeah.
itself. I thought it was garbage. So I basically tossed it aside and just
Hmm.
started living kind of in my own ways. That I believed that God existed. I just didn't want to represent him through a state of
Hmm.
religion because religions are so confining. So
Right.
I got past all of that. And I never went to psychics or anything like that. That was the last thing I ever thought I would do. The last thing in my mind is saying doing this path now was the
Okay.
last thing I ever thought I'd be doing. I thought I'd be
Okay.
doing, getting into filmmaking, get into acting, getting into writing as
Right.
well too. I did internet marketing. I was doing computer support as well too. That was much of my career.
Yeah.
Getting into this was never a priority. This was something that just woke me up. It was
Wow.
like a blossoming flower that just came in, and
Wow.
I can't get enough of this. I love it. So it was the missing part of my life that I never thought was missing.
Nice. Wow. That's very inspiring because, people think that, oh, you have to like meditate for like many years to get into that state.
Depends on the person. It really depends upon the
Yeah.
person. With me, I'm just it's like a burning streak of passion.
Right.
Right. I'm committed to this work. I'm committed to doing this. I
Uh,
want to learn as much as I can. I want to go deeply as best I can. But it's also about learning to balance yourself as well too, because this is not a contest. This is not a competition.
yeah.
When you're going into the spiritual work, you're developing yourself to become humble. You're working to develop humility. But
Yeah.
when I was first starting out, yeah, I was so hungry for this, and I couldn't get enough. I was meditating all the time.
Yeah.
I was going into my channeling state all the time. I was doing energy healing all the time. I was talking to people about this all the time. It started
Yeah.
to mellow itself out over the
Mhm.
years. But
Right.
in that time, it was like a blazing hot fire. I said, no, I want to know everything. I want to get an idea about everything. I want to know more about channeling. I want to know more about energy healing. I want to know
Mhm.
more about Akashic Records. I want to know all of these things. So that was basically where a lot of my
So
interests
how
were
did you
starting off.
actually know, like you said you wanted to know, but how did you actually know about all these things?
Well, a lot of it was research because I did a
Hmm.
lot of research when I first started, right? So I researched meditation, I
Yeah.
researched energy healing, I researched channeling. And as I talked to these other people, they would tell me about other things. Oh, Brad, do you know about the Akashic Records? No, that's quite interesting. What's that
Right.
about? And so I would go and I'd kind of research that. And then I would go into channeling as well, too. Adronis would tell
Okay.
me about the Akashic Records. And then I would just start going into all these different areas. So then I'd start looking into magic as well, too. I'd look
Yeah.
into ancient magic about how that
Yeah.
was done. I'd start looking into our ancient histories as well
Yeah.
too. I'd start looking into how ET civilizations
Right.
functioned as well too. So yeah, I mean, it just kept growing. There's times where I just got more of these chunks. I said, oh,
Hmm.
this is interesting. I'll go check this out. I'll check this out. So a lot of it came through channeled information because I was able to get information there.
Uh,
Wherever there was gaps, then I was attempting to fill that in with research. And then so through
okay.
research, I was able to get more information because it's kind of like you have to become familiar with something before you can
Yeah.
get more information on it. So as
Right.
I
Right.
got familiar with it, then everything started to grow out and
Mm.
expand a lot more.
Right. Right. Wow. That's very inspiring. So now let's get back to the current, like what's going on in the world right
Hmm.
now. So this, I feel there's two things, right? One is the technology is moving so fast, and people are talking about like artificial intelligence, and then there's that one component where they say technology is going to take over humanity, and then there's the other component of the what people call Illuminati or Cabal, which is the negative side of humanity or ETs or whatever you want to call it. Just wanted to hear your opinions on like both of those things before we get into like the whole coronavirus thing and the 5G thing like people are speculating about.
Right. Hmm.
So let's talk about like, do you feel artificial intelligence is taking over, or where are we going like as a human race?
Well, there's going to be introductions to that as well too. But
Right.
again, you have to understand that where are the filters, right? Where are the
Right.
filters to everything? If things do get out of hand, we have a little stamper on our hand saying denied, 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 right?
Uh,
So the more people that come together and say, no, we don't want AI in that particular type of way. I don't see, anything in regards to AI warfare or something in
okay.
that
Right.
nature. There are going to be people who are going to be building androids. There are
Right.
going to be quantum computers that
Uh-huh.
are going to be coming together. So Adronis has talked about this a lot, especially for people with Japan. I've gone to Japan. I've talked
Okay.
to a lot of people in Japan. Japanese are really interested in AI, right? So
Okay.
they build androids, they build quantum computers, and they
Right.
want to know exactly, is it going to be like the Terminator? So no, 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 guys. We basically had those movies as kind of a favor for us of where not to go, right?
Yeah.
So basically, humanity, all near 8 billion of us, is very much again having that stamp in the hand saying, no, we do not want that. If you want to
Uh,
build AI, okay, but they're going to serve man. They're not going to serve their own interests.
all right.
But really, in that sense, you don't need AI. You don't
Mm,
need it whatsoever. Nature is more intelligent than we could ever try and construct through ourselves.
mm,
We don't even know how to look at how a leaf is created. We don't know how a natural seed is created in that
yeah.
way. It is
Yeah.
more greater than anything that artificial intelligence does. So, do you need it? Not one bit. But people will still want to explore it because it's part of their passion to do so.
Right.
But basically, anything relating to weaponization of AI will basically be very highly scrutinized.
Right.
And again, if it gets to that particular point, then people are going to have their stampers and say, denied, denied. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
So basically, AI is going to be very highly sanitized with
Okay.
regards to its creations.
Mm. And what do you feel about the disclosure and I mean two aspects of it. One is the dark side, the cabal side. Like how far have they gone and
Well, they're dying right now.
they're
That's
dying?
the
Yeah,
whole
that's what
idea, right? So
everybody.
the
Right.
cabal is dying. So,
Right.
like I said, by 2024, we probably won't even be hearing from them anymore. There will be very small remnants of them, at least, and if anyway, anything,
Right.
but they'll be basically discarded over a while as well, too. What it means by that is just there'll be more breakdowns, there'll be takedowns, there'll be
Uh,
more people basically getting indicted, etc. Right.
right.
So basically, right now there's a great purging process. There's a reason why we're in quarantine right
Yeah.
now. It's a great takedown that's happening right now. The Earth is now regenerating herself, recalibrating herself, rejuvenating herself. She's
Yeah.
basically being completely buffered
Yeah.
and moving into a very new type of Earth.
Right.
So this is all part of saying, okay, right now we're it's almost like a reset that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So our financial industry is going to be affected, technological aspect is going to be affected, governments,
Right.
politics, sociological aspects, all of that is going through a great state of reset because we're not going to be the same after this quarantine.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very, very different world. And some
Yeah.
people are still going to be panicking about thinking that they have to stay 6 feet away from each other, right? And some people are
Yeah.
just really, really happy to be in each other's arms again. So it's going to be a mixed
Yeah.
bag and more things that we still have to work with. But there's a lot of changes that are happening around this time now with 2020 as we get into the next couple of years as well too. There's
Yeah.
going to be a whole new re-infrastructuring of how
Okay.
we see life on this planet.
And where do you see like the ETs or other species getting into the into the mix of humanity?
Well, they're
Like,
not really getting into the mix. They're more so behind the scenes. Now, there are,
right.
as it were, incognito extraterrestrials, but they've always kept very, very nonchalantly about themselves. So they're very much
Okay.
kept in the shadows, as it were.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of mixed extraterrestrials in with the population. A lot of them look a lot like us.
Uh,
Some that may have a little bit of difference to them may actually work with holograms, or they may start to work with a little bit of holographic surgery or even thought form implantation to give the impression that they look
yeah.
very human. Some of them
Right.
will also just remain in spirit or in projection form
Uh-huh.
around other people as well too. So there's a mixed bag relating to ETs, but a
Uh,
lot of them have just been kept under wraps because it's not about them right now. It's about helping humanity. Once we get to that particular threshold
uh,
where ETs can introduce themselves because humanity's made such great progress, then we'll get to know more about the
okay.
extraterrestrial civilizations. We got to do a lot of cleanup first.
Yeah, because that might be scary for some people, right? Because I'm sure it's going to be in phases, right? Because all
Mhm.
of a sudden it cannot happen. So do you see what those phases are going to look like? Like,
Well,
do you have
it's
any?
drip-based disclosure. That's really what it is. It's all about drips. So
All right.
basically, you'll look at things like, oh, there's other exoplanets, there's other Earth-like planets. Oh, there's
Uh,
oxygen on these planets. Oh, there's water on these planets. Oh, maybe we're seeing some trees now. Oh, wait, maybe in this distant planet we're starting to see civilizations. We're starting to see
yeah.
buildings. We're starting to see all these different forms of
Uh,
facilities that are happening. And then they may start to look in some stuff with the moon. They may start to look in stuff within our own solar system, like they've always been talking about with
Yeah.
Titan, for example, and Saturn. That has moon, it has water on it, and they could have life there. So they're
Yeah.
basically kind of teasing us. And then, of course, they may release some document footage about
Yeah.
ETs, in Mexico and some areas of the States. So, oh, well, that might be something, but we're still not going to tell you yet. So it's basically
Yeah.
just drip-based disclosure. So it'll all be drip, 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 but it's opening people up in a very, very
Yeah.
soft way. It's kind of like using it as an infant baby approach, right? You
Right.
have to
Right.
baby the civilization to realize this is actually happening.
I see. I see.
Mhm.
And since you channel Adronis, like, is Adronis from any specific planet, or like, tell us more about Adronis?
Well, he exists within the star of Sirius A, so he is not a physical being in that way.
Uh,
He would represent what's known as a light being consciousness, kind of
uh-huh.
almost like angelic consciousness now, but he
Right.
would exist in what's known as the seventh density. When I connected with him back in 2008, he was in the fifth density, and so
Right.
there was a time where I've shifted three big times. The first time
Right.
is when I connected with him in the fifth density. Second time is after 2012, where I connected with him in the sixth density, and there
Mm-hmm.
was just recently, just last year, where I was able to connect with him in the seventh density. So he is going through these tremendous shifts, but he's basically shifting appropriately as I evolve as well too. So as I evolve, I get greater versions of him that come through.
Right. Right. And like these days, okay, let's get into more into the whole virus thing. Like, what is the whole message you're getting? Like, what is it like? Is it man-made,
Oh yeah, yeah.
artificial,
This
all
is
that?
this is a pandemic. That's all
All
it
right.
is. This has been foretold for many years. If you're actually looking back into Bill Gates, he was talking about around the time of 2020 that big viruses like this, an epidemic could happen in
Yeah.
that way. Well, gee, how did he know that? He's not a fortune teller, right?
Yeah.
This is all part again of a planned agenda that they have had on the shelf for many, many years. This goes back decades. This is not just going back a few years.
Right.
This again, they have an agenda playbook, and they have these playbooks, and everything's arranged at specific dates. But again, if a lot of their guys are basically taken out of the picture, a lot of those agendas are being canceled out. So
Uh,
Bill Gates is still around, so he's still able to play out this agenda. And if this
uh,
agenda fails, he is now, in that sense, he's open, right? He's
right.
in that sense fair
Hmm.
game.
Yeah.
So basically, after he runs out this particular course, because he's allowed to, because it's part of the collective consciousness growth,
Yeah.
for him to say, "Oh, come on, you guys need to get vaccinated," blah blah blah. It's part
Right.
of his agenda. If his agenda fails, then he's free game.
Right.
So that's basically what will happen afterwards. So
Uh,
that's part of the rule relating to a lot of these cabals and organizations. You can't touch a person if they're basically time for them to go with their agenda,
I see.
because they say this needs to happen. This
Mm.
person needs to come out, because you have to see exactly how evolved the collective consciousness is right now. Are they all
Uh,
falling for it, or now are they going to basically bust this particular agenda? The
yeah.
agenda gets bust. Now this guy is free game. Now he can basically be taken down, apprehended, detained, arrested, etc.
Right. Right. Yeah, because I know you're in Canada. So how is it like? How do you feel like, if you want to share some of your views about like politics?
Ugh.
Because Donald Trump, like, different people have different views, but right now, because there's this alliance thing. I mean,
Mhm.
there's this cabal, and there's what they call the alliance and what they call the deep state.
Yeah,
So what do you
yeah.
feel?
To me, that's not really politics. That's just something in regards
All right.
to different groups with different agendas. And
Right.
basically, there's a lot more groups that are partnering up with each other to basically
Okay.
take down this ruling
Okay.
elite, right? So that's really the
Okay.
whole idea. I try not to focus on politics. I tell people, guys, it's nothing but an illusion, right?
Right.
Basically, when you're tuning into politics, you might as well be watching a Days of Our Lives soap opera, right? These guys are not in charge. They are not the head honchos. Trump is not a high
Yeah.
head honcho. He has a certain form of authority, but
Hmm.
he's taking orders from higher levels of people, right? And
Yeah.
so these guys are basically on an alliance level, and a lot of this alliance has to do with multiple country alliance.
Right.
So it's like 150, 170 countries, something like that. It's very, very big. And so he's basically taking orders from these guys and saying, talk about this, talk about that. He has some certain leeways with
Okay.
certain things, but he
Uh,
is not a head honcho there. He's nothing more than a public figure. And
okay.
he's just basically doing the work that he's meant to do. Some people will say, oh, Brad, he's like an evolved angel and he's this. So, guys, I don't even care about that. You guys are evolved angels. You guys are
Yeah.
here to do some amazing things as well, too.
Right.
It's not about one person, because without all the other people helping that one person can't do a damn thing. So it's
Right.
all of us that are making all of the great transformations happen. We're all in this together. We're making the changes happen.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, when I said politics, I meant like for a common person, like we probably know a little bit more about the alliance, deep state, but like for a
Yeah,
common,
but it's
let's
not
say,
politics. It's most those are again those are groups. Those are world groups.
yeah,
Right? So basically you're looking at secret societies. You're looking at secret societies who have been on the earth for many thousands of years, and
right,
there's different polarities of sacred societies, right? You basically have like the cabal, you have the elitists in that way, you have
uh,
different types of Gnostic groups, you have different types of Freemason groups. There's some Freemason groups that are much more white hat than they are black hat. So
right,
there's different factions here, and many of these factions are aligning because they don't want to see the world destroyed anymore. They
uh,
no longer want to go in the plan. They were once corrupt. They were once very,
uh,
very corrupted people, but they have basically, in that sense, seen the light. They've broken themselves down. They
yeah,
realized they were seeing what they were becoming, and they no longer want any part of it. And so a lot of these are ex-cabal. A lot of this
okay,
is ex-elitists. And so
uh,
they are partnering up, and they're helping to rid the planet of these guys that basically want to destroy it.
I see, I see. Yeah, because we keep hearing of these new like policies they keep coming up
Well,
with, like,
politics is just a tier. It's just a tier of creation that many of these groups
yeah,
have manifested because
yeah,
before there were politics, there was a church, there was religion,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Religion was the politics, and then it
yeah,
got into governmental politics after that.
yeah.
So it's just an evolved tier in regards to something that has been
Oh,
created to create some state of governance,
okay.
illusionary governance.
Right, right. Yeah, like for example, when we hear of things like social distancing or wearing a
Yeah,
mask when you
yeah,
go out, like,
that's NOP, that's psyops. Yeah.
yeah,
Those
exactly.
are
So,
psychological operations to try and keep people in fear, to keep them
yeah,
separated. It's like when I go through, like, 'cause there's the malls here that you can still walk into in Canada, and I just walk around people, and they're like scuffling over to try and make sure they're 6 feet over, right?
yeah,
It's all neural linguistic programming. That's what it
right,
is. And again, that's not going to keep you safe from a virus. If it was a really harsh viral outbreak, I don't care if you have those masks on, that's not going to do a damn thing for you. I don't care if you keep 6 foot distance, that's not going to do a damn thing for you either, right? It doesn't
right,
give you another 10, 15 feet distance. All of that is a bunch of garbage. So a lot of it is, again, psychological operation. Yes, the coronavirus is a real thing, but it's a cold virus. It's a manipulated, manufactured cold virus. That's all it is. And
okay,
so again, people get very much afraid. Oh my God, I can get the cold, or I might get, the seasonal flu has taken
yeah,
more lives than this thing. The numbers have been bloated, they've been overinflated. We're seeing that with many doctors, reputable doctors that are coming in that are admitting that this thing is
yeah,
pretty much a hoax,
right,
because it is. Like I said, it can claim lives, but basically, where there's been a lot of casualties has been through 5G, right?
yeah,
So 5G technology
uh,
has been an association together with a pandemic like this.
yeah,
Like if we see New York City, for example, they're basically getting bombarded by 5G
yeah.
technology.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of controversial too. Some people are saying in some countries, people are dying of the virus, even if, I mean, different people, like, they don't have 5G, but then even then, the virus is affecting them. There's
Well,
all
because there's
kind of,
different strains. There's different strains of the
okay,
virus, right? So there's some strains that are a lot more harsh than the other ones. Basically, in the West here, the strains aren't as intense. But if you're looking at the East, the strains are a little bit more intense.
I see, I
Yeah.
see. Cool. So about the channeling, I know, why don't you tell us about how you help people? Like, do you do group stuff, individual stuff? Like, what kind
Well,
of things?
it's all of the above.
Oh,
So a lot of it is private sessions that I do through
yeah,
Skype or through phone or through Zoom here as well
right.
too. So
Yeah,
yes, people just go onto my website. They can order a session. I do 15-minute and 30-minute private sessions. There's times where I'm being invited to other areas of the world as well too. Of course, I can't do that right now since we're under quarantine.
yeah,
But there are times where I'm being invited to, like again, Japan. I go to
yeah.
Japan. I was invited to South Africa last year to help do a tour as well
Uh,
too. So being invited to some of these places as well to do tours and stuff, and sometimes presentations. So that's available as well too. There's times where I can do group sessions also. So it's basically that they can talk to me, whatever they want to, or if they want me to bring in Adronis, then I can bring him in, and then we can share some insight just on in regards to anything they want, whether they're looking into their own personal life, helping them to transform themselves, whether they want general information, universal information. That's
uh,
available. Like nothing's really off limits in regards
okay.
to whatever it is you want to learn more about.
Nice. That's good to know. Yeah, we also have some people watching live right now. So if you guys have any questions, you can just post it on the chat. I'm watching it right now. But we can continue. So about because I know you've done a lot of interviews yourself with like people in the secret space program,
In
like
the past, I have, yeah.
in the past, like Randy,
Nothing recent. Yeah.
yeah, Randy Kramer. That was one that
Hmm.
really I was really inspired by it. But do you have any views about how we are getting into that whole space travel thing? Because I know there's SpaceX, which Elon Musk is doing. There's
Hmm.
NASA, and then there's also the secret space program. Do you have any views or
Yeah, those are
any?
three completely different
Yeah, right,
platforms in that way. So
right,
SSP is basically meant to be secret in that way.
right,
So again, it's very much different. It's been something that's been around since like the 1950s in that way, from what I've heard from other people as
right,
well too. I've looked into it a little bit through the Akasha. Some of it's actually been around the late 40s as well too.
right.
So it's basically just been these different types of tiers. They're different tiers of space organizations that were basically
Uh,
launched in secret. A lot of them had extraterrestrial support. So they basically had
uh,
treaties with ETs.
right.
They would build certain forms of properties, even on the moon as well too.
Uh,
And then they would have some certain colonies on Mars as well. Some of them actually have access to outposts. Now they're not human created, but they're basically ET created. So there's other outposts that they can have access throughout the star system. Some of the moons, like
uh,
of Jupiter in that sense, or Saturn, they may
right.
have access to as well. But there's different tiers of this. So there's ones that are kind of like much more in favor to bringing humanity together, and there's more that are again more hell bent on dominance. So there's a lot of different tiers in that way, but they do not have really any association with NASA.
Okay.
NASA, if you basically ask NASA, they'd have no idea what you're talking about, and that's actually not a lie. They
Yeah.
don't actually know that a lot of these programs exist. So you'd have
Yeah.
to go up into the higher classifications, higher rankings of these people for them to have, oh, maybe there's something there, right? Solar Warden, for example.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know what you're talking about if you're talking about Solar Warden. But
Right.
that exists as well too. I actually had a friend who had another friend who she would actually telepathically relay and connect with a person in Solar Warden and
Uh,
talk about certain things. So they're actually doing a lot of psionic work to actually determine how some of these people on the planet are in regards to sharing information. They did
right.
a psionic scan on me from what she was telling me, and so, oh yeah, Brad passes with flying colors. He's good. There's a few other ones as well too that they'll do psionic testing on. Sometimes they'll also work together with psionics on a subconscious level to actually help boost a person to
Right.
get much more of their intuition and psychic abilities available. They don't really refer to it as psychics
Right.
in that particular program. They refer to it as psionics.
That is right.
But
And that's what Randy
that's
Kramer, when you were interviewing him, he does that.
yeah, this is not from him though. This is from what I'm getting
Okay.
altogether. But he has talked about psionic testing in that way. But what
Okay.
they'll do is they'll actually start working with other people on the planet. So they'll have
Okay.
liaisons in that sense. And a lot of them will basically come in astrally and help
Right.
to awaken certain people who are meant to awaken right now. They're also working with higher spiritual beings as well too to help clear out a lot of karma within
Ah,
this person so that they can in that sense be like an ambassador relating to
right.
these spiritual teachings that come there. So, for as far as I know, that probably happened to me. I don't know, but that's what's
Uh,
happening to other people as well too. They're getting a
okay.
lot of assistance with intervention fleets to helping them appropriately work with the work they're meant to do.
Okay. Got it. Okay. I have actually there's two questions in the chat, but I'll ask you just one quick question.
Mhm.
So, what do you think, like when you're channeling, like how do you trust that is true? Like,
Well, I've been doing this for 11 years. So,
right.
yeah, it's just a natural thing, right? Trust
Okay.
is part of the game.
Right.
When you start to develop yourself as a psychic or as a healer or as a channel, you have to learn how to trust. You have to learn how to
Right.
open yourself up. You have to
Right.
learn to trust because spirit doesn't know how to betray you. Spirit doesn't operate in any form of lack at all. You
Right.
do, your
Right.
ego does because it's so unstable. So, what you're learning how to do is to minimalize the ego, is how to set it aside, how
Right.
to work on it so you're deflating it so that it basically becomes cool as a cucumber and not red hot like an amber, right? So you're
Uh,
learning to cool down your ego, you're learning how to step aside from it, and you let spirit completely
mm,
in. And the more that you let spirit completely in, now you're getting all this incredible information that's flowing through you, but it's always going to come through a state of comprehension that you're familiar with.
okay. And you teach that you're as well, right?
I've taught people.
You taught people.
Yes,
Yeah. I
yes.
think we
I have
had
a
a
spirit
discussion.
ambassador classroom as well too. So I'm teaching them how to work with spirit, how to do instant healing as
Right.
well too. I've taught people in the past how to channel. So yeah, I have taught it in the past.
Cool. All right. Cool. We have some very good questions coming in. Are you ready?
Go for it.
All right. Val Madness. I like your last name, Madness. is asking, he or she, I don't know,
Mhm.
how old is our son? Oh, okay. Before we get into the questions,
Mhm.
do you want to get into the Adronis channeling session, or just want to answer it
Well, we can
yourself?
do that shortly. We can tackle a couple of questions first, and then
All right, let's
we can
do
go
that.
into Jonas after that.
All right. So, how old is our sun, and what type of beings inhabit the Hyades? Hyades. I don't know what it is.
So the what?
H- Uh, what type of beings inhabit the Hyades? Hyades. I don't
Yeah, I'd
know.
have to find out exactly what that is. I'm
Yeah.
not
So,
familiar with the
Val,
term.
if you want to post what
So
Hyades,
basically, in that sense, the age of our sun goes back billions of years.
yeah.
It's a very ancient star. So we
Mm,
basically we're looking at something that's probably going back about 5 or 6 billion years at least.
mm,
So even our planet as well too is much older than we're being told as well too. It could be anywhere from about 6 to 7 billion years old.
right.
So basically, we have an old planet, we have an old sun. But basically, the sun that we have now was not our original sun. Our original sun was Saturn.
Uh-huh.
Saturn was once our original sun. This actually goes back into ancient texts, going back into
Right.
like ancient Greece and ancient
Yeah.
India as well too, is that they admitted Saturn was once the Earth's sun. So we
Uh-huh.
did not have this sun that we have right now, but it certainly has been around. But basically, because of the takedown pertaining to the Saturn sun, our entire planets and our entire star system moved, migrated itself over to this other star so that life could continue here.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Uh, Tim Jones is asking Brad slash Adronis, will there be food and drink shortages in the coming months due to this virus because government has closed down the supply
It
chain?
depends where you are in the world, man. It depends where you are in the world. Because one thing is happening in another country, that doesn't mean that's going to be happening in every other country, right? There's basically already countries that are impoverished, right?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things happening. So I can't really answer that. Basically, there's people who are complaining that there are certain food shortages because people are panic buying and they're
Yeah.
not leaving a lot available for people. So, but
Right.
basically, this quarantine is going to be over very, very soon. So basically, this is again another lesson of saying, well, what do we need to do? We need to start planting more food. We need to start growing more food.
Yeah.
We need to start making things more available so that we can sustain ourselves a lot more. So it really depends where you are in the world to determine if there's a crisis pertaining to food supply.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Uh, Feel Better is asking, hello, what should we do? What should we do in the best possible position for ascension? Like, what should we do for ascension right
Don't
now?
worry about so much about ascension, right? It's not important, right? The whole key is right now, just go through your own personal upliftment. So, what you want to do, and I've talked about this as well too, you want to have clarity relating to any particular forms of traumas, dramas that you are going through. You want
Uh-huh.
to do your inner work, right? So,
Right.
your inner work is very, very important. Many people
Right.
say, oh, I'm getting ready for ascension. Guys, you don't have to worry about that. Don't worry about ascension. Look into your own upliftment, look into your own health,
Okay.
just be who you naturally are. So you want to work with your traumas. You want to have clarity in regards to what it is that you're going through. You want to start bringing in positive reinforcements. So again, on my YouTube channel, there's a video. It's called the BCR and TC technique all in one. So what
Uh-huh.
this is helping you to do is work on a daily basis to elevate your love energy, right?
Right.
Love is all you need, guys. And I cannot emphasize that enough. What's the answer? Love in the highest degrees that you can
Okay.
bring in. So the more that you're bringing higher states of love energy into yourself, you now have the antidote to
Mm,
anything pertaining to crisis, to
mm,
emotions, to wounds,
all right.
relating to traumas that are happening within you. So
Mm,
it's about going in there and working with that. So tune into that
okay.
video. It'll tell you a lot more
Okay.
about that.
So looks like you're talking about like accepting yourself
Oh,
for
I'm
who
not
you.
talking about accepting yourself.
Yeah.
That's an illusion. That's a mind thing. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the idea that what you're doing is you're working together with love energy. I don't need to accept to bring love energy into me. I don't
Okay.
need to accept that the aspect that there's traumas within me. I simply have to realize that that's there, right? So I'm
Okay.
realizing that these traumas are there and I'm now just working on them. So again, I don't need to do any kind of permission slips. This is here. This is a wound. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to nurture it. I'm doing this. So that's all you have to do.
Okay.
Don't worry so much about acceptance and approval and allowing and blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. It's nothing but a bunch of mind wordplay.
Yeah. I think the confusion is like there's so many different like meditation techniques and
It's not about
people.
meditation techniques either,
I
guys.
mean,
It's not about that
not
either,
meditation.
right?
There's so many people teaching different schools of thought, like,
But that's the problem.
yeah,
You're putting so much faith on the outside of people. It's like with
right,
me. Don't even believe anything I say if you don't want to, right?
right,
Look into yourself. You have to be the master here, right? Rather than saying, oh, what's this guru teaching? What's this expert teaching? Who gives a crap? What matters is that you are bringing this love energy into yourself.
mhm,
You're elevating it to higher states because you have a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be grateful for. A lot of positive reinforcement is available within you. And
right,
you're going within and you're getting clarity as to why you're suffering. A guru is not going to take that away. An expert is not going to take that away. You have to work with this. So when you get
right,
into that mentality and now you start working with these wounds, it's like if I was to get lacerated on the arm here, I could talk about, oh, yes, do I accept this thing? Has this happened to me? Is this another past life thing? Blah, blah, blah. I could spend 48 hours
yeah,
blabbering about this laceration on my arm, or I could go and I could start tending to my wound and making it feel better again. That's
okay,
what you have to do on a physical, mental, emotional level. Simple as that,
got
right?
it.
Don't worry about gurus.
Okay, and quick question before we go ahead, like when you say going within, like a lot of people talk about like going within, like what exactly, people should understand about
How
that?
do you go? How do you go without? Can you talk to me about how you go out? How do you go without?
Like when I'm looking outside the world, that's
So
without
what's
that.
making you look outside the world right now? What's so interesting about it?
It's just because it's interesting, it's visual, there's a lot of colors, lights. But when I close
Same
my
thing
eyes,
goes
it's
from
just,
within, right? When
yeah,
you're going within yourself, you're now listening to your thoughts because what is it that the outside is? The outside is the manifestation effect of what you're feeling within yourself. Why are you in the home that you're in right now? Because you made all of these inner processes with your feelings, with your thoughts, with your choices, with your actions, and with the result of you getting into your house. That was all an internal process. That had nothing to do with the outside at all, right?
yeah.
This is the important thing, is that, my goodness, well, there's feelings, there's thoughts, there's choices, there's actions, and therefore we receive the results. Everything that everybody's been doing on this planet, all 7.8 billion of you, have done this in order for you to get the job. What did it take? Your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own choices, your own actions, and your results. You've always been doing inner work to get
Okay,
you to where you are right now, right?
okay.
So it's just a reminder of your own inner processes that take you to where you are right now. That again is why we're getting past so much of the outside and coming more within, because that's how we've been able to conduct ourselves, to journey ourselves through life as it needed to be
Hmm.
done in that way through those 5 acts of manifestation.
Got it, got it. Sounds good. So Jonathan Collins is asking, it's a question for Adronis, but I don't know if you want to
Well,
get
we'll
it.
leave that until we
Yeah.
bring him in. So I'll probably bring him here in a few minutes.
All right. And Race P is asking, when meditating, how do you know you entered in the zone to channel or manifest? I think it's similar to what we were
Yeah.
just talking about. We just
Guys,
skipped.
you gotta get the intellect out of the way,
Yeah, right.
right? And that's the whole idea. That's why you're having problems. You're putting this intellectual mind, you're trying to say, oh, how, when, who, what, where, then blah, 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 blah. And you're putting that in the way, and that does not belong there, right? So, what does the intellect do? It's basically creating barriers, it's creating trap doors, it's creating pitfalls for
Uh-huh.
yourself. When you are channeling, your intellect is out of the way completely. When
Right.
you are channeling, your ego is out of the way completely. What you're doing, you're following your breath, you're taking deep breaths, you're relaxing, you're getting yourself nice and calm, you're opening yourself up like the 1,000 petal lotus, right?
Mhm.
And you're letting all of this energy flow through you, and you're feeling, you're feeling, you're feeling. And you're aware of sensations, you're aware of sensations. And now the flow, like a river, comes through you, and now you just have the feeling to communicate it. You now have the sensation to communicate it. When I talk to Adronis, which you guys will experience here very shortly, I am not putting any particular thoughts into my own head here, right? That's, I'm being completely stepped aside. Adronis is coming through. I'm receiving his thoughts, his feelings, his
Right.
mannerisms, his behavior, right? That's what I'm getting into me. So you
Okay.
guys have to do the same thing. This is what I teach you guys who are wanting to be channels. As
Right.
you start to develop yourself in channeling, it's a feeling journey, it's a sensation journey.
Right.
Get the intellect out of the way. It doesn't belong there. Get the intellect just out of your life completely. It doesn't belong there. It's like looking at a queen bee and a worker bee. What's the most important bee of the entire hive? It's the queen bee. The queen bee, in that sense, is the innovator. She's the idea person. She's the one that's birthing all of these little workers to build everything around her,
Hmm.
because that's the nature of true love, of true feeling, of
Right.
true harmony. That's where you want to be as a channel, as a psychic, as a healer. Intuition is the key, and intellect has nothing to do with it. Get it out of your life.
Okay, cool. All right, sounds good. And from there, if it's okay with you, we can get into Adronis state.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and bring him in. He's going to share similar things, just like what I've talked about, guys. So,
All right.
but again, I'll talk just briefly about him. So it just takes me a
Yeah.
minute to bring him through. Once he comes through, you guys will be noticing that I'll be doing something called orbiting. Okay,
Right.
now an orbiting is just, it's kind of like stretching an antenna out.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm connecting in this way, I'm rotating in this direction in a counterclockwise state. When Adronis comes through, his energy starts moving in a clockwise state. So clockwise, counterclockwise, a vortex forms, and now we have two realities becoming one. So when he comes through, you'll notice that there's a bit of a change relating to my voice. His behavior is a little bit different from mine as well, too. So you'll just notice these changes as he comes through. So I'll take a moment now. He is, again, a Sirian consciousness existing within the star of Sirius A of the 7th density level. So I will go ahead and bring him in, and we'll get started.
All right. Thank you.
Tera. Soul Star. Sirius. Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I'm Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning into this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. Thank you, and how may we assist you today?
Yeah. Hi, Adronis. Thanks for coming in. Do you have any like special message for what we are going through about the virus and everything?
Well, basically, you're moving into Earth 2.0. That's a version change that's basically happening. Your software is being upgraded on a planetary level. That's what's taking place right now. As this upgrade is taking place, all of the infrastructure upon the planet is going to follow suit. So basically, in that sense, you are being rewired. You are being reintegrated right now because the aspect of anything pertaining to corruption-based affairs are no longer going to be applicable in this version 2.0 of Earth. So that's what's happening right now. This is not some particular type of quote unquote accident or just random form of timing. Your Earth is literally being rewired right now. She is shifting herself into a different degree of calibration. Timelines are therefore being fused into new higher alignments where the aspect in regards to any forms of sabotage on a collective level, any other particular forms of principles relating to corrupt agendas will not be something that will see the light of day. It is going to be, as it were, filtered out on a grander degree, on a grander scale. So there's a greater intelligence, the aspect of your own energetic metamorphic fields in that sense, your, as you would say, metamorphic fields upon yourselves and throughout the planet itself are therefore starting to shift. So the morphogenic fields are now rearranging themselves to again move yourselves into a new calibration that's taking place. So again, there's the aspect in regards to your timelines. They are shifting. They are moving more into higher ground. There's greater states of exposure that are about to come as well too. That is moving into higher ground. There's greater states of cooperation that will be a greater influence for many of you. That is coming into a higher ground. There's a greater state in regards to new innovations, grassroots, shall we say, starting to grow on greater levels that will start to take root and will therefore start to help you in uplifting yourselves pertaining to new innovations, new ideas, new cultivations, new systems, new technologies that are again aiding in that sense the health of your planet, the health of your cells. Because again, everything that you're noticing now through this quarantine period is helping yourselves to realize where there is lack upon the planet, so that many of you can now start to feed it with love, with innovation, with action. That's what's taking place upon Earth 2.0 right now.
Okay, yeah, because we as humans mostly think of like doing something. So can you tell us like what we can do
Well,
right
this is the
now?
whole idea, is that you have many structures that you
Right.
are learning in that sense that are being impacted. How about your education? How about your politics? How about your food supplies? Yes, maybe it's a good idea to start allowing more land to be reserved so that you can grow food. Maybe it's about looking into the aspect of new schools and new educations in that sense. Basically being able to look at your science and realize that there's many loopholes in it, and that you are now starting to move into new waves of science, implementing spirit science, implementing consciousness science in that particular way. You're looking into that sense of new travels, because you see in that sense how your fossil fuels are plummeting within the stock market.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah.
And you're now starting to realize how your own financial systems are plummeting in that way, and that this is the dawn for a new financial system that will be coming up very, very soon. So
Uh,
these are just a few areas in regards to what you're going to be working with. But many of you in that sense are part of different forms of plateaus relating to work, pertaining to service. So let everything that you have learned through the state of the quarantine bring yourself into an upgrade as well too. So maybe it's all about serving more people. Maybe it's about helping more people because you've been through this quarantine yourself. It's about being able to supply more goods that you feel will help more people that maybe you didn't realize before. This is all shifting a greater awakening within yourself. It's a great awakening that's taking place, and all tiers relating to your own systematic approaches are being refined, re-upgraded, and transformed here and now.
okay. Yeah, because thank you for that. A lot of people are talking about the financial system like completely going away, and
The fiat system, yes.
yeah. So
Not
okay,
completely away. It'll still have a bit of a transitional period too, but there's going to be an opportunity for, shall we say, new systems financially to come together. One example is what you would know as your digital currencies.
right. Can you tell us about the cryptocurrency or
Well, that's
blockchain?
what we're just stating, is the idea of cryptocurrencies. Now, many people are creating different types of
Ah,
cryptocurrencies, but in that sense, one of your more popular ones is what you would term as Bitcoin in
right.
that way. So many people may want to get involved with that. Some people already have. It's not to say that the current fiat money that you have will be no good. No, it will be transferable, because there will be, again, new monetary systems that will come together that will be much more resource based. They will basically have, in that sense, an aspect of finite value based upon resources, precious ores, precious metals, etc. So there will be a multitude in regards to certain types of resources that will act as legal tender pertaining to new financial systems that are looking to come online. This will take a little bit more time, but again, the aspect of the fiat currency system is in a transition on the way out. So that again, new financial systems, not a new financial system, but systems are coming online. So you will have a different type of financial system, but you'll also have other supporting financial systems that will become much more applicable as well too, very much in your digital way.
Okay. So cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is something people should look
Well,
out
it's one
for.
and the same. Those are same things.
No, I
The
mean,
aspect of
yeah,
cryptocurrency,
there's
yes.
different kinds of currencies, right?
That's
So
right.
Bitcoin,
Cryptocurrency, though, is the idea of to where this fits. So the aspect of your crypto or digital currency will have much more of a forefront as you move further into this decade in the earlier years.
okay. So probably what I hear is like whatever currency, let's say I have whatever $10,000, it's I can convert it to Bitcoin, and then the
Yes.
future currency is going to be Bitcoin or whatever the currency is.
Well, no, there will be another financial system that will be coming together that will act very similar to fiat currency, but it's not going to be fiat. Basically, you're going to be looking at very large scales of debt forgiveness, which means your student loans will therefore be canceled. The
Uh-huh.
idea of house debts, mortgages will start to be canceled. There'll be a lot of forgiveness debt as this fiat
Okay.
currency starts to plummet. So nobody will be in debt anymore within the next couple of years. It'll all be
Okay.
gone.
Okay. Good. Good. That's good to hear. Let me get into the questions. So,
That's part of Earth 2.0.
okay, that's good. That's very positive news.
Absolutely. You're moving into positive times because you have chosen for it to happen.
Yeah, we
all of you.
decided it in the future or in the
In the
past.
collect, there is no past, there is no future,
Okay.
there's only right here and right now. What's happening is that you put certain thought forms together. They crystallize as a enormous matrix because many of you are thinking the same thing. We want to be able to get off this debt system. We want to get off this aspect of a slave and based form of currency that
Mhm.
you call fiat. And now this is going to allow new systems to come together. But in order for this fiat currency system to get out of the picture, it has to plummet. And
Okay.
that's exactly what you're noticing through the condition of your current stock markets.
Okay. So basically, we kind of put a limitation on ourselves, and now we know that we did that. We
Well,
want to
you've
get
put on
out
a
of it.
limitation to yourselves because you have been silently obedient and allowing these people to feel like they were running your lives.
Right.
But now you're awakening to that premise and saying, no, we are going to run our own lives. And so that is going to be the shift of change that is going to evolve and adapt with yourselves because you have made those new choices that are now coming upon your planet. New mentalities are going to form that reflect the idea of the example of financial systems.
Okay. So you're saying kind of what about the government? Is the government completely going to go away or?
Well, it's going to be a transition like anything
Okay.
else, because again, this needs to shift itself in that way. But what is mainly going to happen is that there's going to be a lot more, shall we say, elected leaders that represent much more of a ethical aspect to yourselves.
Okay.
It is not going to be the idea of saying that you only have two choices and you can only choose these two candidates. You can't choose anybody else. That is going to die.
Okay.
But in that sense, it's still playing itself out through this year, through the idea of, again, if we're looking at your American elections or your Canadian elections, et cetera, if we're looking at other particular elections, other presidents, other prime ministers, et cetera, yes, that is still playing itself out because you're still in transitional flux. But as you get more through the transitional flux, you're going to realize that the aspect of elected leadership will have much more ethics behind it rather than the idea of
Okay.
anything that is pre-planned
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that.
to serve
Uh,
as agendas.
right, right. So one question we have from Jonathan Collins is what notes or frequencies could benefit our solar plexus and the heart chakra?
Well, what we would suggest is going out into the middle of the forest. Because when you start connecting with trees, when you start meditating with trees, not only are they just affecting certain areas of your body, they're working with the entirety of your body. You don't just want to work with compartments of your body, all right? That is a
Right.
myth. You
Mhm.
want to work in favor together with everything that is a part of your body. Your body is not a drawer. All right. It's not about opening up a certain drawer here and then there's a shelf up here, etc. It doesn't work that way. No, your body is a web. Everything's connected. So what you want to do is you want to work together with technology, more so natural technology that exists within your forest, hearing the birds chirp, feeling the tree's energy as you lean against it and meditate or perhaps read a book, being able to lay down upon the grass, being able to work together with much deeper vibrational frequencies. So you may want to work with deeper tones, very much similar to what you would know as drumming. You may
Mm.
also want to work together with earthing technology as well, too, that are helping you to receive the natural frequencies of the earth. So that again is the idea of working with the entire complex of your body and not compartments. Everything's connected to everything else. It's not about working with yourself as some of the parts, but the entirety of your being. That's where full healing lies.
Right. Thank you. So Mary Lexon is asking, what are those hums? A lot of people hear in the
You have to
sky.
be specific in regards to what you're asking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The hums, it could be anything.
Hums or anything. You can hum right now. Hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Now, what we assume you're referring to is that people are hearing sounds
Hmm.
across the entire planet. A lot of this is the Earth. A lot of this, in that sense, has to do with a portal network that is, in that sense, upon your Earth, within your Earth, above your Earth, in that way as well, too. This is the aspect of shifts, in that sense, certain forms of dimensional shifts that are taking place. The Earth, in that sense, is shifting herself, and frequency is the key in regards to how these shifts take place.
Okay. Yeah. So Melly is asking something about Machu Picchu, but I just want to kind of change the question a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about the sacred
Sites?
sites in the world? Yeah.
Yes, well, many of these are again calibrated to certain harmonics of sound. So
Right.
as they are calibrated to certain harmonics of sound frequency, because many of them are designed, as you would say, in the ancient ways, similar to how the pyramids were built. These again are like sound radiators or sound resonators, we will say. And so as they basically come through certain forms of phases to where the original blueprint of these sacred sites were intact, they would actually be able to harness much of the natural energies of the earth, and they could be used in regards to benefit the earth herself. They could also be used to benefit human consciousness. They would move into certain levels of upliftment. They actually also shift different dimensional earths together on the same plane by the idea of a convergence. So many of these ancient sites were specifically designed through the aspect of frequencies of sound vibrations that, in that sense, harnessed much of the natural energies of the earth to basically bring about greater fertility, to, in that sense, assist in the consciousness acceleration of humanity, and again, to bridge in other dimensional fluctuations, as it were, converging them into one particular plane so that a greater harmony could come together. They were all brought forward into what you would know as a greater harmony, a greater convergence of worlds coming together to form one. Many of you would think of it in that sense of the nature of ascension, but in that sense, that's not really the key here. It's the idea of playing a natural symphonic orchestra upon your planet to therefore elevate states of consciousness on a natural earth level, on an environmental level, on a human level as well too, as well as bridging worlds together that reciprocate this greater harmony so that natural evolution could move itself into greater states of acceleration.
Okay, thank you. There's a
This would
question
also
about
be used in regards to harness energy systems as well too. Basically, you could see some of these sacred sites as ancient power plants.
right, right. There's a question about the I don't know if it makes sense. It's about the 1999 A10 asteroid. I don't know what that is.
We cannot give information on that.
Yeah. So I have a question about the dreams. Like, how can we, because a lot of people talk about dreams, how can we use our dreams to like spiritually evolve?
Well, it depends in regards to what you dream about. You have to understand that your
Yeah,
dreams are telling you a lot about what you are holding back as well. Your dreams are telling you a lot about what you lack.
right.
So, in that sense, whenever you're having nightmares, you're basically receiving from your own dream plane, your own dream guidance. There's things here you have to let go of because you're not paying attention to them. You need to pay attention to what the nightmare is saying. If it's you just constantly running away and screaming for your life, this is telling you you're ungrounded, you're not centered. You're out of alignment because you feel like you are fearing all of these things around you. You're keeping your head in the sand. You need to take your head out of the sand. You need to look around what's happening, and you need to work to stabilize yourself, center yourself in that way.
Hmm.
So dream plane has many more aspects to it. It is, again, a grander plane than your physical plane. But again, we could spend hours talking about the nature of the dream plane and about how it can work together with you. But the whole idea in this short way is for you to be aware of your dreams. If you know you've dreamt about something, maybe it was something scary, write it down, document it, reflect upon it. What is this dream trying to tell me as a simple message? Because that's how your higher self works. Your higher self is the architect of your dreams. So as you start to work together with the dream plane through the architecture of your higher self, you're just looking at the simple messages. Okay, I'm afraid. I'm running. I feel that I have problems with my money. I saw myself impoverished. So again, you're seeing yourself in these states of lacking debt. So you want to, again, feed love into these aspects of yourself, because when you're going into the dream plane, all you're doing is exploring your psyche.
Hmm. Got it.
So
Uh,
let it be a guide to helping you understand what you need to work
yeah.
on that is contained in lack,
So
and
yeah,
bring
right,
love to it.
right. So writing it down when you wake up, but before we sleep,
Just
like, is it?
documenting it, just being aware of it.
Yeah. Before we sleep, is there anything we can do?
Meditate. That's what we would suggest. Before you go to sleep, create a meditation, create an intention, create a prayer that will allow you to become much more receptive to recalling as much of the dream state as you can. You can also, therefore, ask for guidance as you are dreaming so that you're getting more of an idea about why these dreams are being shared with you, because it's all about you understanding your mind and
Mhm.
where there are lack based impairments within the mind that need correction.
Okay. I also have a question about the prophecies. Like a lot of people prophesize what's going to happen in the future, and I know there's different parallel
These
realities
are all
and timelines.
probabilities,
Yeah.
yes.
So, like, there's no real one future that's going to happen for
No,
us.
these are all probabilities. If you were to basically look into the idea of the Hopi prophecy, for example, or the idea of the blue star prophecy in that sense, many of them, in that sense, foretold the aspect of a third world war and feeling that there is going to basically be a great deal of casualties upon the planet. Now, a
Uh,
lot of this has been softened. There has been, in that sense, secret warfare happening behind the scenes, but it has not been made public. So there's been a softening, there's been a buffering relating to many of these particular forms of prophecies. It's not to say that they haven't happened, but there's been so much intervention in being able to buffer this because the collective consciousness does not want war. They
mhm.
want to go through this, but there's a lot of karmic aspects pertaining to what needs to happen upon this planet, pertaining to controllers, to elitists, to ruling families, and that all of this needs to happen to basically take them out of power.
Okay.
So that's just an example, is that you are softening the edges, you're cushioning much of
Mm.
these particular prophecies that were originally looking quite grim.
Okay. Where do you see like the artificial intelligence or computers going in the future?
It is exactly as Brad stated.
Mm. Okay.
Do you remember what he said?
Yeah.
All right. So
Uh,
again, you are therefore being the filters pertaining to this. You are the filters of all of reality. Every single one of you are filters. And
right.
because, in that sense, because you're filters, and in the collective mass where a lot of these filters are in agreement with each other, there's a great deal of buffering of certain things that are not going to see the light of day, because nothing can trump your thought. Nothing can
Okay.
trump your feelings. When there is, again, clusters of all these common thoughts and feelings coming together, that creates a veil. And
Mhm.
again, there are certain timelines based in that sense that are in opposition to that veil that can't penetrate it. It's like hitting a brick wall.
Right.
So all of you are being the filters upon your planet. Stop looking outside of yourselves for answers. That's not where they are.
Mhm.
You're the answer. And we mean that very literally. Lokesh, we are not just talking about you. We are talking about all of your viewers. We're talking about everybody here that's listening. We're talking to all near 8 billion people on the planet. You're the filters, every single one of you. And so the more of you that come together en masse and in majority, you create these very heavy veils where any particular form of contamination, corruption, warlike situation, anything that represents conflict can be buffered out completely by you working together. That's why you're experiencing these situations now, so that you can work to come together, hold hands, and start working as a team. Start working as a civilization collectively, because now you're creating all of these veils to buffer out all of this corruption that has been on your planet, that many of you have given so much silent obedience for many thousands of years. And you're finally saying no more, because that's how long it took you to finally say no more together.
Right. So, if let's say, I mean, a completely different question, like if I want to channel like Adronis or some other entity, what can I do?
Brad has already shared this as well too. When you are going into a channeling state, what do you want to channel, Lokesh?
My higher self?
All right. Do you know what your higher self is? How does your higher self relate to you? Is your
Yeah.
higher self all about love? Is it a
Mhm.
very, very loving old man in that way? Well, there you go. Now you have an imprint relating to what the higher self represents to you. Because
Okay.
I could just say, oh, I just want to communicate with air. Well, air is invisible. I don't really have a rapport with that. But if I start to give it a form, if I start to give it a quality, that's something I can anchor to. So now that I can anchor to that, I can now start working with my thoughts and my feelings, opening myself up and trusting this transmission that comes through my higher self, because my higher self now has a quality. He's very loving. He's a wise old man. That's how I see my higher self. Congratulations. Very good. So now you open yourself up. You get the ego completely out of the way, completely out of the way. You
Mhm.
get the intellect completely out of the way, and you stay within the subtleties of your own feelings. You breathe in,
Mhm.
you breathe out, you let the higher self energy pertaining to that quality coming in and start to work with your own vessel so that it can be calibrated, so that you can communicate together by being rewired by the higher self, so your higher self can communicate with you and through you. So you open yourself up, you trust the process, you interpret it to how the higher self will come through and share with you. That's what it takes. But you have to create a rapport. You want to build a
Okay.
relationship with that which you want to connect
Okay.
with. So if it's a quality, like a wise, happy, loving old man, there's your quality to connect with the higher self. For
Got it.
example, do you see?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That was very good. Uh, okay.
That's how
Thank you.
powerful your mind is.
Yeah.
Use the full power of your mind rather than being drowned by a dumb intellect.
I know. I think the problem these days is we get so much information.
You've been trained into the
Yeah.
idea to work with your intellect. You've
Yes.
been trained so
Yeah.
much to look at the outside, look at
Yeah.
this, look at physical matter. That doesn't matter because it's your inner being that created all of this.
Yeah.
That's what you don't understand. You're too busy, completely transfixed in a trance about the outside reality when you don't get that it was yourself from within that created all of this.
Right. Okay, one last question. So there's people like Elon Musk and some people talking about that people are going to be like cyborgs or
Some people will, because some people will like that idea.
okay.
Some people will go into transhumanism because they feel that they are incapable of looking at themselves within, and they have to go into the outer way of things, and they will go through certain states of transhumanism. The majority of the planet, no, not really, but certain groups will.
Okay. All right. That's good to know because I don't want to be I mean, I like computers, but I,
Lokesh, what have we just stated that you are? You're a filter for your reality. You are putting veils together. If there is nothing that you want to experience and you make peace with that, that will not be in your reality. If you keep thinking about, oh, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, you're experiencing that out of
oh,
fear. And
okay.
as you're experiencing that out of fear, you're going to bring some element of that
Oh,
into your life.
I see.
So here's what we suggest: make peace with your fears. And as you do, it's not even a question about that being a part of your reality because you're not thinking about it. You don't care about it. So all you're doing in that sense is living life in the way that you feel. And you're encouraging people to live the same way. Focus on what serves rather than putting so much fear into what doesn't, because you're going to bring some aspect of your life pertaining to that fear into yourself. Simple as that.
Okay.
It's a catch-22. It's a mirror universe, everyone. You start frowning in front of the mirror, what's the mirror going to do? It's going to frown too. So when you start putting a smile on your face, you start feeling happy, you start feeling positive, you start feeling joyful, you start dancing around the mirror, what's the mirror going to do? It's going to reflect that. But if you keep saying fear, here's my thought of fear, here's my feeling of fear, here's my heavy emotion of fear, well, then the mirrors are going to reflect that as well too. Make peace with yourself. Realize it's a mirror universe.
Right. So talking about fear, one fear I have is that I'm sure many people have is about like so much connected to technology, phones, computers all the time, and that's what makes me feel think that that's the future. Is we're always connected, and do like whatever I'm thinking is that me or is that
Well, of
complete?
course it's you, because nobody else can step into your reality to make decisions for you. But the whole idea is that you have bought into a program. And the program is telling you, oh, you need a cell phone, or you need a computer, you need some type of technology to keep up to date in regards to the world. So you have, again, used your obedience to say, okay, sure, I'll get on that bandwagon. But at any particular point, you could say, nope, I throw the phone away, I throw the computer away, I'm not using any of this, I'm going to spend more time in nature. And you can do just that. What do you have to
Okay.
do? You have to address the fears of technology, just as
Okay.
we talked about. Mirror universe, remember?
Right.
If you are in fear with something, that fear is still part of your reality, because you may say, oh, no war on the planet. You're still thinking of war. That's not the
Yeah.
idea. So instead
Yeah.
of thinking of something so horrific pertaining to the fear of war, look into something else that becomes its substitute, that is much more in harmony with you, and all of your energy goes there. You're not even thinking about war because you're
Okay.
so happy doing what you love to do and being who you love to be.
Got it.
That's all it takes.
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thanks, Adronis.
So you
If you,
are deprogramming
yeah,
yourself from your fears,
right, right. Got it.
and you are moving more into the natural way of yourself, which is love, because love is what you are made out of. You're not made out of anything else. It's all
Yeah.
love. That's your natural state. Fear is an unnatural state. It is an artificial form. It is an artificial debris that you, in that sense, many of you are empowering because you are afraid to look at yourselves. You feel like somebody has to swoop along and rescue you. And that's not what's happening. You are going to be your own savior. You are going to be your own rescuer. You are the one that, again, is experiencing this reality. You're the only one here. As you're the only one here, you're the only one that makes a difference within your reality. Now that you do that, you can start sharing this with other people because now you become a reflection in theirs. And that's how it continues to work. Focus on correcting yourself to align to the reality that you prefer, rather than focusing so much energy on what you don't and experiencing some facet of that energy.
Got it. Yeah, don't resist it basically, even if I feel afraid not to resist it.
Well, resistance in that sense is all part of trying to push something away. It's going to come right back again.
Yeah, right.
Right? So acknowledge that you have this fear. Admit it to yourself. You need to let it out. You have to let it out. You go into a space of your own. You're not taking it out on anybody else. You're just letting all of this anger, this upsetness, this fear, letting it all out. And as soon as you get exhausted, you're okay, I think I got it all now. Good. Now
Mm.
start bringing positive reinforcement into yourself. Substitute it.
Okay.
And that's what's going to make the difference. All right.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Adronis. Thanks a lot. For you. Yeah.
Anything else?
Uh, no, I think we can get back to Brad.
All right. One
Thank you.
moment, please, as we return to the conduit. Goodbye for now.
Thank you. That was,
Okay, thank you.
wow.
All right. So, did we have any other questions? Or are you going to?
There's a general question about karma. I mean, I think,
Okay, guys, all karma is action. Okay, that's
yeah,
all karma is. So it's just you being accountable for your actions. If you are going into actions that you know you do not prefer, you're working to rectify that. Okay, if you
yeah,
made an action that you feel you're not so good about, that is basically going to be a stain on yourself. That's a stain on your soul. Okay, you put
right,
it there. Nobody else put it there. It's not your husband. It's not your wife. It's not your kids. It's not your next door neighbor. It's not your boss. It's not your coworkers.
right,
You're the one that put that stain on your soul. So you have to rectify that by, again, following what's known as the law of equivalent exchange. You have to balance everything. Really, it's referred to as the law of correspondence. But again, equivalent exchange is the nature. So if something's teetering over the edge here with a scale, you want to lighten the load so that things start to balance themselves out. So you want to bring positive reinforcement to where there is a heaviness relating to fear, anger, sadness. So anything pertaining to karma is just the nature of action. There's no negative, there's no positive other than what you deem it appropriate yourself. Nobody is up here judging you. Nobody is out here judging you. It's all you. And you start bringing these particular type of people, places, events, and things that appear in a state of judgment because that's how you see yourself. This is why you have to go within. You have to go into your thoughts. You have to go into your feelings. You have to look into your choices. You have to look into your actions, karma, and you have to see your results.
right,
That's something that does not serve you. You shift it. You substitute it into something that you prefer. But in order for you to shift something, you have to have clarity relating to what that thing is that bothers you. Once there's clarity there, now you're able to move and shift and say, okay, I realize why I was angry. It was because of this. Great. Now you have clarity. Now you can shift
okay.
it into the substitution of something that you prefer. Karma is just action.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brad. Why don't you tell us about where people can find you and how you can help people?
Right. You can go to newearthteachings.com. Okay, that's my website, www.newearthteachings.com. I also have another website. This is the Healing Code Cards right here. Okay.
Uh,
This is a spiritual technology. So basically, you're looking at sacred geometry containing spirit source codes. Okay, so spirit energy is contained inside the sacred geometry of all these cards, and they're used for specific things. This one represents a stiffness eliminator.
okay.
So basically, there's ones for your organs, there's parts for your body. It's all basically a body deck. So people have used this, and it's on Amazon as well too. You can find it on Amazon.ca and Amazon.com, and
Uh,
there's testimonials there as well too. Okay, you can go to the website healingcodecards.com. There's more testimonials there. There's video tutorials about how this is done as well too. It's a profound spiritual technology, and it was handed from spirit to me, and I've put these cards together, and so they're absolutely fantastic. I use them myself, and so if you guys want to check that out, healingcodecards.com is the
okay,
website. Okay.
cool. And are you also on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. My personal Facebook is all full, but you can go to facebook.com/newearthteachings. Okay,
Right.
and that is something that's available. So that's my page, and you can
Okay.
put a
And you
like on
do
there.
one-on-one sessions with people, right?
That's on my website, newearthteachings.com. Private sessions are available there.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Brad. It was great talking to you.
All right,
And
nice to talk to you too.
yeah, appreciate it. And you have a nice day. Take
All right,
care.
take care. Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.